Hello, and today I'm doing a new segment. It's called, Hey, this card's actually pretty good. And on this segment, I'm going to talk about a card that you never sees any play at all, but is actually a somewhat decent card and might be worth using. And this card is actually pretty relevant for its uses. Today I'm talking about Miniaturize. So let's read it. Select one monster with 1,000 or more original attack. It loses 1,000 attack and its level is reduced by 1. When that monster is destroyed, removed from the field, destroy this card. Now, your initial first impression might be this card isn't so great. It's a continuous trap card, so if it's MST, chaining it won't help you at all, and so on and so forth. But I assure you, this card is actually a really good card. Generally, you can ruin an opponent's Synchro or Xyz play by altering the level of one of their monsters. And also, it has that second function of reducing the opponent's attack by 1,000. So, you can also use it defensively when your opponent has a beater attacking your slightly weaker beater. Like, if they have, let's see, High Priestess of the Prophecy, and she's attacking your, TG Hyper Librarian, yeah. Well, you'd be like, you don't want that librarian to die. That lets you draw cards. So you activate Miniaturize. High Priestess loses 1,000 attack points, and it dies, and your opponent loses 900, and you're a happy camper. But yeah, let's look into some specific cards that I thought of. And two of these are two very highly played cards, and this card will definitely screw plays involving them up really bad. So the first card we're going to look at is Tour Guide from the Underworld. I've actually used this play in real life with a very bad deck of mine to screw it up. Now, the thing about this card that's great is that it leaves the monsters on their field is dead. A lot of people, out of not caring, might special summon the monster they get with Tour Guide, which is usually another Tour Guide, in attack position. And in either case, this Tour Guide is already in attack position. So you can activate Miniaturize, make it with 0 attack and level 2. They can't exceed, and they have incredibly weak monsters on the board that can be swung over with literally just about anything. So they can't make their Leviathan, they can't make their Levier, they can't make their Zenmains, and they have these two useless weak monsters just sitting there. If your opponent does not remove this Miniaturize off the board, you will have a very good advantage, and you'll be able to deal some damage to your opponent. So yeah, and I'm not being retarded like this is some obscure case, because Tour Guide is a very popular card, main boarded in just about almost any deck. So this scenario would actually happen frequently if people cared about Miniaturize, because everyone runs Tour Guide. And next scenario, Rescue Rabbit. Again, now, unlike with the Tour Guide scenario, you don't Miniaturize the rabbit. Plus, you can't, because it's only got 300 attack. But that wouldn't do you any good anyway. So your opponent summons the rabbit, and they banish it, and then they get their 2 normal monsters. Then you Miniaturize one of them, and you laugh. They are screwed right now. They've got these 2 normal monsters on the field that die during the end phase, and they can't exceed with them. So you just really put your opponent in a bad spot, because they have these 2 normal monsters that are going to die during their end phase. They're going to be wide open, and yeah. So so your opponent's going to summon the rabbit, get their two Saberosauruses, but they don't get their Logia because you'll be too busy activating Miniaturize, and one of the Saberosauruses is only going to be level 3 with 900 attack. So and then they both die during their end phase, and your opponent might be out heavy on the back row, but you really just put a huge crapper on their play. And if you have another Miniaturize face down, if they happen to summon their tour guide or another rabbit, you'll be ready for that too. So yeah. The last specific case is going to be revolved around shooting Quasar Dragon. Now, this is extremely popular, and unlike the previous two cases, this is actually obscure, or at least until shooting Quasar becomes reprinted and Levavels come out in full in America. But with some well-timed use of Miniaturize, you can actually thwart their shooting Quasar Dragon. Whether you wait till they have 2 level 5 synchros and their formula or not, it's up to you. But you can Miniaturize one of them. They'll be weak. They won't have the right levels to make their shooting Quasar, and unless they can synchro summon another level 5 monster, they probably won't be level 5 or 6, I should say, but they probably won't be making their Quasar. And although they do have a lot of monsters on the board and they're gonna swing at you and they're furious, if you have Battle Fader and Dark Hole in your hand, the fact that there isn't a Quasar there makes a huge difference. Goes from you lose to you probably win. So if you have a problem with Quasar decks, you should probably run 3 Miniaturize and go for that first turn and set your Miniaturize and hope that you don't get heavy stormed. So yeah, with your Dark Bribes and Starlight Roads and crap. But yeah, I really hope you take this seriously and realize that Miniaturize isn't a bad card, but it's actually quite relevant with some high-tier decks. The only thing it won't do anything against is Mermail Atlantean. It's all bite that's the most overused deck in the format right now. The Verge is going to become popular real quickly, and everyone's going to want to make a first turn Ophion. And Rescue Rabbits are still high tier. Decks running Tour Guide are everywhere, unless they're Mermail Atlantean. So yeah, you keep your eyes on your Miniaturize. It's not expensive at all. It's typically a common, and according to this thing, at best it goes for 50 cents. So you can easily pick up some of these, and if you have a problem with rabbits or anything that revolves around tour guides, or hell, even wind-ups, just take a look into this card, because this card is great for stopping Xyz. I'm Metatyranonite, signing off. Have a good day.